What's good, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that everybody is enjoying their weekend. Baby, when I tell you that Charles Oakley cleared, he did not come to play with y'all, okay? When I tell you that I feel like Angela's peach is secured for next season just off the strength of her husband alone, okay? He might not have shown up a whole lot throughout the season, but baby, just from this trailer, Charles Oakley is clocked in and clocking the girls, okay? Let's go ahead and get into this trailer. I'm gonna let you guys hear it, and I'll link it if you guys want to watch it yourself as well. But I don't want to share the screen and play the trailer because, Bravo was very sensitive about this stuff. Shout out to Erykah Badu, but Bravo will ding me. But I want y'all to hear, it's only about a 2-minute clip. I want y'all to hear Charles Oakley because give him a peach. Scoot over, Peter. Move over, Angela. No, I'm joking. Let's go ahead and listen to this trailer, and I'll get some commentary at the end.
Any intentions today?
I just want to step to the plate with each lady with truth.
Why would you say you and Angela's husband?
Who told you that? That wasn't how it happened. This is a pattern of lying. What about what?
Well, fold.
Yeah, but the whole town gave it, Ready?
Coming up on the 3-part Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, how do you feel about frickin' Brock revealing all about your good?
I need clarification.
You think you need clarification?
No, you'll be out on these streets, Portia. Yeah, I like my Africans. One for the books.
Britt Eady has decided not to join us.
Wow. Can you get that information from the current housewife about Britt's past?
Did you send her the picture?
Let's start there. Well, baby, I'm in all of them. But the little girl there, they don't know you. So if I look 53, you look 63.
Ooh.
Y'all had that conversation together since I was through Candy and Todd. I kiss Candy in the club, you kiss Candy in the club. That's right, take that. Don't sit on Portia Rat, girl.
She characterized her return as a flop.
I do.
Okay.
She should be worried about who flipping and flopping in that basement we're out.
Ralph, did you really think Drew was sleeping with Dennis for beans?
I didn't know exactly what the relationship was, but you had mentioned that you was trying to holler at her too.
I never.
Wow. Rose, when did you date our friend Sheree?
Okay, Andy.
What?
What are we doing?
Everybody want to know about me. What about y'all? I'm not the husband here. Where your husband's at?
What is the current status of your friendship today?
You talking about my mom saying she did something crazy? She asked your mom that I did some drinking. Let her have her moment. 1 second. Hold on. That's it. Oh my God.
Okay, hold on.
Baby, when I tell you that I am looking forward to this 3-part reunion, it has been a while, honestly, since I was looking forward to a Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion. But when I tell you that this trailer was everything, baby, Charles Oakley said, "Why are y'all worried about me? Okay, I am the only husband here. Where are y'all's husbands at?" And Portia said, "Ooh, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Taraji P. Henson. And when she was in the nail shop and the Asian lady, she said, "Brother on my arm, no brother on your arm." And Taraji was like, "Ooh." Monique was like, "Ooh." Yes, come through, Charles, okay? He did not come to play. Listen, let's go ahead and get into this trailer. Let's break it down piece by piece because it's a lot going on, right? So Portia was just saying, she starts out in the beginning that she wants to make her intentions clear with every lady. And listen, Cynthia said that Portia was the one who had, really carried the reunion. And she brought, receipts, and she really showed up for this reunion. So we will see next month. But baby, listen, I really wish, and I have to be honest, I really, really wish that Britt Eady would have shown up for this reunion. I mean, it may be possible that we don't even need her because of Charles, but I really feel like she would have served us a look. And you know what I mean? We would have been able to hear her side before her suing the network, but we'll continue. Okay, so Angela has, she has a folder, and she said that Phaedra has a pattern of lying. And Phaedra's like, lying about what? Now, Phaedra, listen, I don't know if she doesn't know that we know that she has been lying since she stepped foot on the set of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Baby, from, lying on Candy and what she was, quote unquote, accused of, the lies, the lies, the lies. Lying about her due date with her babies, lying about Phaedra, just, and everybody from Nene to Candy to, you know what I mean, using Portia as a messenger for the lies. And see, in that lie, it still bothers me because I feel like there was no accountability taken. She really tried to ruin Candy's entire life. You know what I mean? Like, she really had her on some, Diddy. Like, when Candy was on that couch crying, talking about how people was, comparing her to Bill Cosby. And, just, I feel like there probably has to be a clause in the ladies' contracts that prevents them from suing one another. Because I'm really surprised that Candy did not sue Phaedra for defamation of character. But anyway, so, for Phaedra to, ask, what was she lying about? Phaedra, I feel like that's all she really does is lie. Like, the more I find out about Phaedra, the less I like her. And it's just like, man, and listen, for her to be an attorney, I mean, that's a fitting profession, right? I feel like the reason why she did so well on Traitors is because that whole game is about deception. So, that was her time to shine. But Phaedra, you are probably one of the biggest liars that we have ever seen on reality TV. But you know who is not lying? Charles Oakley. Okay, so after that, and Angela brings a folder, and she brought her whole file cabinet. So then the trailer goes to, Portia saying that, she asked Andy if he feels ready. He smiles because Portia, listen, she's going to serve us a look. She is definitely a Bravo darling. So she absolutely is, she's going to give us at least a little bit of, fashion, fashion with the mess. So Andy asks about frickin' frack, and he asks Cynthia about how she feels about them revealing her hood. Cynthia just, she is such a sweetheart because that was just so unnecessary in my opinion. I feel like another thing that Phaedra does, and Portia now, they deflect and they try to bring up, the other ladies, what they have going on, whether it's a physical, I don't want to say a defect, but some kind of physicality, right? With somebody else's relationship, anything to take the spotlight off of them, they're going to bring that up. So I'm glad that Cynthia was able to laugh it off though and kind of roll with the punches. Because Andy's like, you think you need clarification. I need clarification. So then Drew, the next scene is Drew, the editor is shady producer. Shout out to Bravo producers. They're some of my favorite. They cut to Drew and she says, you be hot on these streets, Portia. So Portia laughs and says she likes her Africans. She said it's more for the books. Baby, when I tell you that on social media they was clowning, okay, because Portia, they said she's the first American that has been known to everybody who scammed a Nigerian scammer. And let me tell you, Simon is truly an OG Nigerian scammer, okay? He done came to the United States 50, 11 times. He done switched his identity, his alias. He's already trying to get a sit down with Donald Trump to try to get him back into the country once again. So, and you know what? After Trump pardoned the Chrisleys and the January 6th insurrectionists, child, anything is possible. So who knows? Simon might be. One thing Donald Trump loves is a good reality show. He's a reality star in himself. So anything is possible. I'm not a fan of Trump at all, but he does love a good pardon and he loves to be entertained. So who knows? We could see Simon on our TV screens next week. Next year, next week. Y'all know what I mean. Okay, so Britt Edie, they said that she is not, she's not coming. And then Kenya, of course, because of the pictures. And Portia says that Kenya had information that a current housewife gave her the information about Britt's past. Listen, I like Kenya. I feel like, what she did was unwise and, we don't want to rehash that again. But I don't feel like she got the information from a current housewife because, she could have, but she also said that she hired a PI, which, I don't know. Britt is saying that the pictures weren't even her. So that's why she's filed a lawsuit with Bravo. Who knows at this point who's telling the truth and who's lying. But it's just unfortunate that, now Kenya is, listen, she has a daughter to feed, so she has to do what she has to do. She's, selling her clothes down at her shop, and, she has her YouTube channel. So I'm like, listen, she's from Detroit. She's a hustler. I'm not mad at it. So do what you got to do, Kenya. But they're saying, that Britt Edie is not at the reunion. Like I said, it's unfortunate because Britt definitely would have given us a look. I feel like, she can dress well. And I would have loved to have heard her side of the story, not in just with the Kenya thing, but just overall, right? Her behavior for the entire season really was messy. She really didn't show up for Kelly like we would have liked, but she would have been able to explain that, hopefully, right, at the reunion. But she chose to opt out altogether, so we'll never get a chance to hear it. So Phaedra says that she's in all the rooms, and Angela counters and says, well, the rooms I'm in, they don't know you. And I'm like, I know that's right, Angela. Stand on business. Your husband is behind you. The only one there who has a husband behind you, okay? Gerald, listen. Sir, I know he, said that he didn't want to be on the show, but I feel like the least he could have done is been there to support his wife, They said that the HVAC money is looking a little funny. We don't know. So he's trying to, I guess, lay low because ICE is out there on the loose. Y'all know the feds don't play about their money. So Gerald might be, not be able to be on the screens for quite a while. But anyway, and she says, if I look 53, you look 63. I know that's right. Clock it. Because listen, we know the old Phaedra. I don't know if Phaedra knows, like I said, that we've all been watching this show a very long time. When Phaedra first came on this show, even pre-Apollo, right? She was very, I don't want to say like homely, but like very conservative. She did not have the blonde bust down. She did not have, just her makeup was different. Like everything was just different. And I get it, right? All the housewives have had a glow up. Portia, right? She's a good example. She's definitely had a glow up from her earlier seasons. But Portia didn't come for Angela's looks. That's the difference. I don't feel like Portia really comes for anybody's looks. I feel like Portia that's one area that she's secure in. And so I feel like people who are secure in how attractive they are, they don't feel the need to pick at other people's, attractiveness or their looks. If you notice, Phaedra is always coming for people's looks. Just like Britt Eady would always talk about how much money she had. I feel like that's an area of insecurity. Like insecurities are very loud. You know what I mean? Like people will always try to project and deflect from themselves. Um, like Phaedra, shout out to her. I mean, she did write that $40,000 check on Married to Medicine, but she doesn't necessarily, well, yeah, I was gonna say she doesn't talk about how much money she has, but yes, she does. So I feel like that might be an area of insecurity for her as well. But I always try to listen in, right? When people start talking about um, problems or issues, especially with other people, I always feel like that's a mask or that's a defense mechanism to try to get that attention off of them because that's a point of insecurity. But Angela does not look like anybody's 53. So I'm glad that she said what she said about Phaedra because that was shady. Phaedra, there in her confessional, she did not have to say that Angela is one of the oldest young people that she's ever met. Like she just, again, I don't know if it's because she, is jealous of Angela's relationship with her husband, that she has a husband. Um, yeah, I don't know. But, word on the curb is, Phaedra hired Marcus, the man who came up to Angela during Kelly's event at Williams Sonoma, to, talk about Charles's cheating. Because they've already had one incident of infidelity. And, Angela's going to get into that this coming episode with her therapist. But, one thing I can appreciate about both Charles and Angela is that they're very open, they're very transparent. And so, they went to therapy, they worked through that. But Marcus came up to, Angela recently during this season and said, your husband's cheating. And he said it multiple times, right? He's like, everybody cheers. And if, your name is Angela, or cheers if your name is Angela and your husband's cheating on you. Like, relax. Have several seats, sir. That was not the time or the place. It was tacky, it was rude. And I don't know, who knows if it was true. The word on the curb is, well, Angela says that she found out that Phaedra is the one behind all of it. And to be honest, it aligns with what we know, what we've seen um, about, how Phaedra moves, right? Listen, like I said, she did a great job on Traders. What she said about Candy was horrific. All of the untruths and the lies that she's told. It's just one thing after another after another. So it wouldn't surprise me if it were true. I don't know. This is all alleged because I wasn't there, but that's what Angela told Carlos King. So I believe her. Okay, child. So then Shamia is talking to Portia, saying, y'all had a conversation about saying that I would screw Candy and Todd. So I guess she's talking about a threesome or maybe a foursome. I don't know. I don't know if they're with the swinger lifestyle or not. But Portia, again, someone who is, she's not as transparent and open as Angela and Charles, but she has her moments, right? So she said, well, I kiss Candy in the club, you kiss Candy in the club. I'm sitting here like, I would love to know. I guess this has to be like way back, right? Like I'm guessing it's probably pre-season 9. And that might have been why Phaedra focused on Portia. And, because Portia is, she's dingy. She pretty much believes, I don't want to say like anything, but, she's a little silly. And so that might have made her vulnerable to, Phaedra being almost predatory in a sense, because she does have a legal mind. So she is, a strategist in that way. That's her profession. But for them to be saying that they kissed Candy in the club, both of them, like, okay, so maybe that's why Portia was saying during her People interview that she didn't know if she liked women or all this stuff. Listen, everybody is different. I don't know, what they have going on. Like I said, this had to be way back because I feel like Candy is smarter enough to know that she probably would not have, touched Portia if she had known that all that stuff was going to come out season 9. So this I'm telling y'all, this this reunion is about to be a hot mess. But it's messy, it's juicy, but it's definitely messy. Okay, so Drew told her to go sit on Portia's lap. Drew was a mess. So then, Drew characterized her Phaedra's return as a flop. A lot of people, online did as well. Like I said, Phaedra's not one of my favorite people. Would I consider it a flop? She wasn't really there long enough to do much, right? I feel like she, was kind of, substituting for Kenya. Because Phaedra was not their original pick. She was coming over from Married to Medicine. But, I mean, was it a flop? I mean, maybe, yeah, because she really didn't, bring anything to the show other than talking about, Angela. And the highlight, I guess, was her, son's clothing line, right? Like, shout out to Dylan. Phaedra's she's a good mom. But other than that, we really didn't learn anything about Phaedra. Like, is she dating? Who is she dating? What does she have going on? I mean, we know that she has 50-11 jobs. She's a mortician and a lawyer and a Reiki healer. And, okay, that's good. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could, agree with Drew. She hasn't really had time, though, to bring a whole lot this season. So, but then Portia says that she needs to be worried about who's flip-flopping in the basement with Ralph. Portia is so messy. She's so shady. Listen, okay, and she knows that's going to get under Drew's skin, okay? But at the end of the day, you can tell that Drew does not want to divorce Ralph, that she still loves him. Because if she was truly done, like, she would have just been like, I don't care who he's with in the basement, or not even said anything at all, which, again, we have to see because this is the trailer, but child. And then, so Andy asked Ralph if he thinks that Drew was sleeping with Dennis for beats, which that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. When I first heard that, I was just like, that is just so in left field. I don't think anything's going on with Dennis and Drew. I feel like that's Portia's insecurity. That's one thing I can say, right? Portia is not insecure about how she looks because she knows she's gorgeous. But what she is insecure about is, Dennis, the father of her, daughter, Pilar, and her love life. But with Ralph, Ralph is, I don't feel like he should have been there. A lot of people online don't feel like he should have been there. He is a narcissist. He's abusive, verbally, right? I don't want to, but from what I've seen, even like financially and he's not someone, in my opinion, that has Drew's best interest at heart. He's not behind Drew. He's on the other side, behind the OGs. And I don't like him being there. I don't feel like he really added anything. He says that he doesn't know what the, exact relationship was between Drew and Dennis. But he says that Drew mentioned that, Dennis was trying to holler at her, and Drew, shouts out that that's a lie. I don't know. Both Ralph and Drew, they lie all the time as well, even about their own relationship, right? Ralph is always putting Drew on the gram when they were eating steak and, both in the kitchen together. So relationships are messy. Life is messy. So, who knows? But and Charles, then he asked, Andy asked Charles when are they gonna find out, or when did he date Sheree? And so Angela's like, okay, he's like, well, why does everybody want to know about me? I'm the only husband here. Where are y'all's husbands at? When I tell you, baby, I said, ooh. And Portia said, ooh. Yes, Mr. Oakley, clock in. When I tell you that Charles is clocked in, he said we're gonna get out of this $2 million hole by hook or by crook. If these houses are not selling, okay, we're gonna sell this drama, okay, to Bravo. I know that's right, Charles. He said my wife is gonna have a peach next season. I said, come through, Charles. He said, I'm the only husband here, and he is not telling no lies because Ralph, like I said, he's all the way on the other side, and then Dennis is, he's single. Um, it was messy. I loved it. He cleared. He cleared. That was a bar. So Andy's asking what's the current status of the relationship between Portia and Shamia, and they're talking about the whole situation between their mothers. So she says, you posted something about my mom, and they're going back and forth. Why are you saying anything? Let her have her moment. So from what I understand, this may or may not be true, but I guess Miss Diane, Shamia's mom, had a daycare center, and Miss Diane, from what I'm understanding, saw that they were best friends back in the day, Shamia's mom and Portia's mom, Miss Diane, and so she saw that it was going to go into foreclosure. Well, Miss Diane bought the daycare center out from under Shamia's mom. Shady, shady. And I don't know, we don't know if it's still, up and running today. I don't think it is. But just for you to do that, that your best friend is having business issues. Like, she could have loaned her the money. She could have, tried to go into business with her. Like, say, we could do this together, include, right, Shamia's mom. Nope. She just, she waited for that opportunity and just said, I'll go ahead and, snatch that business from you. That is shady if it's true. Because I wasn't there. So Andy's trying to calm everybody down. Portia gets up and leaves, and that's where it ends. So this trailer was everything. I'm excited about the reunion. Like I said, I haven't been excited for Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion for a while, but I feel like this one is going to be entertaining. Which again, Britt's not there. I guess that's her choice. We would have loved to see her and have her there, but it is what it is. It's going to carry without her. So they'll be fine. But I do feel like Charles Oakley, in my opinion, again, like he said, he's the only husband there. He cleared. Like, he, clocked it. He was, in my opinion, one of the best aspects of the trailer. He's like, why are y'all worried about me? I'm the only husband here. Where are y'all's husbands at? Because I'm it's like, I wonder if Bravo thinks of themselves, we might have to think about renaming the show, and I'm sure they probably won't, but it's like more, they have more single women on these franchises, and I think it's like pretty much across the board. Like, I can't think of one franchise, one city that has more married women than single women. And some people have said that it's the Bravo curse, that once these people go on these shows, that maybe Salt Lake, I don't know. But anyway, once they go on the shows, right, you put yourself under a microscope. Like, you literally, your whole life is just out there for public consumption, and so people start digging. Child, when I tell you, these internet sleuths are better than the FBI. Because when folks start digging into your business, like Jen Shaw, shout out to Jen Shaw, she's had her release date moved up several times. But people are going to be in your business. So hopefully that won't happen with Charles and Angela. I really hope that, this show makes their marriage stronger, and that the rest of the ladies, can find love like all of us. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, aces. Bye.